Let's go over now to former Met Police Detective Mike Neville. Hi, Mike.
Yeah, greetings from Wales.
Oh, yeah, always a different place. Always a different place. Now, Mike, I put forward a proposal, Mike. I know it's probably extreme, but I tend to be extreme. If the government really wants to deter people from shoplifting, I mean, think about the proposal that they've effectively made. Is that we're going to crack down on shoplifting. This threshold we've got now, we don't send anyone to jail until they've been caught 50 times. Well, we're getting tough. We're going to reduce that to 20 times. Hardly the crackdown of the century, is it? My suggestion was, why don't we do a zero tolerance? If these people knew that if they nick a packet of cigarettes or a bit of steak from the shop, they go to jail, they'd stop doing it, wouldn't they?
Well, they might stop doing it, but the trouble is that the police don't catch anybody. There's the Labour Party runs figures to say, 94% of crime goes unsolved. And so the Howard League for Penal Reform will be out of a job soon because there'll be no criminals to say they shouldn't be put in prison in the first place. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the people in prison are... they go to prison for two reasons. One, you're very violent, you're a murderer or something, and then it's prolific offenders who've committed up to 50, 100 offences. Hardly anybody goes to prison for a first offence. I mean, if you look at robbery, which is theft with violence, less than a third of those people go to prison for the first offence. You think everybody would go to prison for robbery. And so this, to me, Kevin, just seems like electoral talk. So you've got the Liberal Democrats and you've got the Labour Party attacking the Conservatives, saying you're no longer the party of law and order. Look at this mess. And it's a bit like the ULEZ scheme that the Conservatives have cottoned on, that people are really concerned about this. And so they're all fighting. But the problem is, I fear it is all talk, because all we've seen over the last decade, more 2 decades, is less people being sent to jail and more crime, which creates fear on the streets.
Yeah, the government's talking about building more prisons to fit shoplifters in, but I think they've got about 2 or 3 prisons being built already, and they could do with more, in my view, because the number of people who get caught and sent to prison is minimal. But as you quite rightly say, Mike, this is another case in the arena of the booming arena of shoplifting. Is another case of one of those offences that, for extraordinary reasons, mysterious reasons, the police believe it's sort of beneath them to investigate shoplifting. A bit like home burglaries and car thefts, or if you get beaten up in the street. They don't really want to bother with that. So, incredibly, what they're doing now is when a shop owner phones up and says, my shop's just been shoplifted, the gang have nicked this, that and the other, the police send them investigation kits where they have to take pictures of what's happened and take statements and then send them back to the police, and then the police decide whether or not to pursue that. How about what about these police? Why don't you just do your job?
Well, I'm absolutely with you. There's some hard-working police officers out there, but there's a lot of them doing the wrong things. I mean, Mark Rowley stopped a lot of these mental health calls, which will hopefully relieve them to do some proper police work. And as I've said before, 70% of the Met didn't arrest anybody in 1 year. So how can you not do that? I mean, the vast majority of shoplifting offences are never reported. It's only when the shopkeeper's got hold of somebody and he's trying to drag them back in the shop that they call the police. And the whole system is a fiasco. I mean, my expertise is images, matching images. And the police have no system of saying, oh, that's the same guy, 10, 20, 30 offences. Every one of these shops has CCTV capturing evidence. And that evidence isn't used because the police admit themselves. The Home Office, Her Majesty's Inspectorate admitted that whilst the police are good at fingerprints and DNA, they're no good at all with digital forensics, i.e. CCTV and things captured on Ring doorbells. It's appalling, and the result of this is that people feel entitled to steal, and when they get stopped, then they attack the shopkeeper, and it becomes a violent robbery. And it's just not good enough, because we should all be safe where we work.
And it's not a victimless crime because every theft, the cost of that is passed on to the consumer. All goods go up inexorably. Extraordinarily, Mike, in the 12 months up to March, so the year leading up to the March just gone, the police recorded 339,206 cases of shoplifting. Now, clearly, a lot of times shops don't even bother reporting it because the British Retail Consortium estimates there are actually 8 million thefts from shops last year, costing nearly 1 billion quid. 8 million thefts. That's a lot of thefts, isn't it? What's going on? What?
Absolutely.
This, apart from anything else, you know, when I was a kid, you know, we used to have a go at shoplifting now and again, but we were scared, we were frightened, and that was the whole joy of it. That was the enticement. I mean, now, kids today and younger people, they don't seem to give a damn about the law or common decency.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the whole respect thing has gone, and people just know they're not going to get. You've got to be very, very unlucky to get caught. And like I say, if you get caught, you're very, very unlucky to get sent to jail. The only people who get sent to jail are complete idiots, of course, who are drug addicts. Their minds are addled. They're stealing from a shop. They're easy to catch. And then they just get locked up because it's the 50th time that they've done these things. And the politicians will talk because the Co-op have done an excellent job exposing these issues of shop attacks and shoplifting. And it's going to get worse because people just know that they'll get away with it, and there's no deterrent. And these are what you call gateway crimes, because, of course, if you can get away with shoplifting, why not steal a car or break into a house? Yeah. And these things become worse and worse. So it's a driver for career criminals, and it needs to be nipped in the bud. Now, I would say, you know, you don't lock people up after 1, 2, 3 crimes. You give them, people get a chance, but it's when they're on their 89th chance, it's time to say you're going to prison, and the key has never been tossed away because you're never going to be released because you're a burden on society. But these, we're told they're going to build these prisons. Well, they've got that barge thing floating around in Portland, haven't they? They could utilise that.
Well, no one's allowed on it, Mike. That's the problem. But in the end, when you've got a government that says, hey, we're going to crack down on this scourge of shoplifting, got a threshold right now, 50 offences and you go to jail, we're tough. We're going to bring that threshold down to 20 offences. That, in a word, is weak on crime and weak on the causes of crime. Mike, great to talk to you. Let's talk again soon. Mike Neville, their former Met police detective.